The scream of tearing metal echoed through the void as the Calaxian battle cruiser Dominator split in half, its kilometer-long hull, forged from the strongest alloys in known space. Parted like wet paper, the crew of 3,000 died instantly, their bodies flash-frozen in the vacuum of space. Admiral Zexstar watched from the command deck of his flagship, all four of his eyes wide with disbelief. The Dominator had been the pride of the Calaxian fleet. Nothing should have been able to destroy it so easily. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, her voice shaking. "The energy readings. They don't make sense." Zexstar's gaze fixed on the empty space where the impossible had just happened. "Show me." The holographic display materialized before him, showing the last moments of the battle. The Dominator had been pursuing a small human transport ship. Standard procedure. Humans were weak, their technology primitive, easy prey. Then the transport had stopped running. "Replay the moment of impact," Zexstar ordered. The hologram flickered, showing the transport ship suddenly expanding. Its hull unfolded like a flower, revealing something that made Zexstar's blood run cold. This was no transport. This was a warship, a human warship unlike anything in their databases. The weapon it fired didn't look like much, a simple beam of blue light. But where it touched the Dominator matter simply ceased to exist. "Not destroyed, not vaporized, erased, sir," his communications officer called out. "We're being hailed." On screen, the image that appeared made Zexstar's heart skip a beat. A human face, calm and professional. Female, with short dark hair and eyes that seemed to see right through him. She wore a uniform he didn't recognize, with rank insignia that suggested high command. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth defense ship Prometheus *", she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system, or you will share the fate of your companion." "Impossible," Zexstar snarled. "Humans don't have ships like that. Our intelligence reports." "Your intelligence reports are wrong," Chen interrupted. 25 seconds. Zexstar looked at his tactical display. His remaining ships still outnumbered the human vessel 50-1. But the Dominator had been their strongest ship, and it was gone. "Simply gone, sir," his tactical officer said. "Urgently, the human ship is charging weapons. Energy readings they're impossible. It's drawing power from somewhere else, somewhere not in our dimension." 15 seconds. Chen said calmly, Zexstar's pride war with his survival instincts. The Calaxian Empire had never retreated from humans. They were the dominant military force in this sector. But that human ship had just erased his best cruiser from existence. 10 seconds. "All ships," Zexstar ordered through gritted teeth, "withdraw." To safe distance, the human captain's smile was cold as space itself. "Wise choice, Admiral. But know this: the next time Calaxian ships threaten human civilians, there will be no warning." The transmission cut out on his tactical display. Zexstar watched the human ship fold space around itself and vanish. Not jump to hyperspace. Not warp away. Simply cease to exist in their reality, sir, his science officer said quietly. "I'm detecting residual quantum signatures. That ship, it's not bound by normal physics. It's operating on principles we don't understand." Zexstar stared at the empty space where the most powerful weapon he'd ever seen had just been. A human weapon, a species they'd considered barely worth conquering. "Get me a secure channel to Imperial Command," he ordered. "Priority Alpha. And begin scanning our databases for any mention of Earth defense ships. I have a feeling we've been missing something important." As his crew scrambled to comply, Zexstar couldn't shake the feeling that the balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted. The humans, it seemed, had been keeping secrets. Big ones. And if there was one ship like the Prometheus *, there might be others. Chapter 2. The Ghost in the Machine Door. Elena Vasquez had been studying alien technology for 15 years. But she'd never seen anything like the wreckage floating before her research vessel. The debris field stretched for kilometers. Twisted metal and crystalline structures that defied easy categorization. Are you certain this is what remains of the Calaxian cruiser? She asked her assistant, a young man named David who seemed more excited than concerned about their proximity to a recent battle site. Positive, David replied, manipulating the holographic display. The quantum signatures match. But look at this. He highlighted a section of the debris. The molecular structure has been completely altered. It's like the matter was edited. Eleanor frowned. Edited how? I'm not sure. But whatever weapon did this, it didn't just destroy the ship. It changed it at the quantum level. Some of these particles shouldn't exist in our universe. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert. From the ship's sensors, Eleanor looked up to see a new contact approaching their position. A ship, but not one she recognized. It's human, David reported, but it's not in our database. The design is unusual. Eleanor watched as the unknown vessel approached. It was sleek, angular, with hull plating that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Beautiful and terrifying at the same time. We're being hailed, David said, on screen. The face that appeared was familiar from news broadcasts and military reports. Captain Sarah Chen, hero of the Proxima campaign, decorated veteran of a dozen conflicts. But Eleanor had thought she was dead. Dr. Vasquez, Chen said, her voice carrying a non-echo. I need you to stop your research and leave this area immediately. Captain Chen, but you're supposed to be dead. Yes, that's what the records say. It's better that way. Chen's image flickered slightly, as if the transmission wasn't quite stable. You're studying the wreckage of the Calaxian ship. That's dangerous knowledge. Eleanor felt a chill run down her spine. Dangerous how? Because understanding what happened here will lead you to ask questions you're not ready to hear the answers to. Chen's expression softened slightly. Eleanor, I've read your work. You're brilliant. But this is beyond anything you've studied before. Try me. Chen was quiet for a long moment. The weapon that destroyed that ship operates on principles that violate everything we thought we knew about physics. It draws power from parallel dimensions, manipulates quantum foam, and can rewrite the fundamental forces of reality. That's impossible. So is everything else about the Prometheus asterisk. The ship you're looking at doesn't just have an AI. It has a consciousness, my consciousness, backed up and enhanced beyond human limitations. Eleanor stared at the screen. You're saying you're dead, and this is some kind of copy? I'm saying the line between human and machine isn't as clear as we thought. The Prometheus asterisk and I are connected in ways that the original designers never intended. We've become something new. The implications of what Chen was saying began to sink in. How? Many ships like this are there. That's classified. But Eleanor, you need to understand we didn't build these ships to fight aliens. We built them to fight something much worse. What could be worse than the Calaxians? Chen's smile was sad and knowing. Ourselves, the future version of ourselves. Before Eleanor could ask what that meant, alarms began blaring throughout her ship. David was frantically working at his console, his face pale. Eleanor, we have a problem. I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching our position. Multiple contacts, moving faster than anything should be able to move. On the screen, Chen's expression hardened. They found us. Eleanor, get out of here. Now, who found us? The collectors. They're from a timeline where humanity made different choices, darker choices. They're here to stop us from making the same mistakes. Eleanor's ship shuddered as something massive passed by. At impossible speeds, on her tactical display, she watched as shapes that hurt to look at directly materialized around them. Captain, David said urgently, whatever those things are, they're not bound by normal physics. They're existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Chen's image began to break up as the Prometheus asterisk powered its weapons. Eleanor, when you get back to Earth, find Admiral Morrison. Tell her the timeline has been compromised. Tell her the collectors are ahead of schedule. I don't understand any of this. You will. But first, you need to survive. Chen's image flickered one last time. The Prometheus asterisk will cover your escape. But Eleanor, remember what you've seen here. Humanity's future depends on people like you understanding the truth. The transmission cut out. Elena watched in amazement as the Prometheus began to change. Its hull reconfiguring into something that looked more like a living creature than a ship. The weapons it deployed seemed to tear holes in space itself. David, get us out of here. Maximum velocity as they fled the battle. Elena caught one last glimpse of the Prometheus engaging the mysterious collectors. The fight was beyond anything she'd ever imagined, with forces that seemed to rewrite reality itself. But one thing was clear: humanity had been keeping secrets, and those secrets were about to change everything. Chapter 3. The Admiral's Confession. Admiral Rebecca Morrison sat alone in her private office, staring at the classified report that had arrived an hour ago. Dr. Elena Vasquez's account of the encounter with the Prometheus was detailed, precise, and utterly terrifying. She'd been expecting this day for 20 years. Ever since the Prometheus project had gone dark, she'd known this moment would come. But knowing something and being ready for it were two different things. The door chimed, and she looked up to see her aide, Commander Torres, entering with a worried expression. Admiral, we have a problem. The Galactic Council is asking questions about the Calaxian incident. They want to know what kind of weapons we've been developing. Morrison leaned back in her chair. And what did you tell them? The truth? That we have no record of any Earth defense ship called the Prometheus *. But they're not buying it. They shouldn't. It's a lie. Morrison stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth's orbital defense grid. Carlos, how long have you been? My aide, 12 years, Mom. In all that time, have I ever lied to you? Torres hesitated. No, ma'am. At least, not that I'm aware of. Then you should know that what I'm about to tell you is the truth. Even though it sounds impossible. Morrison turned to face him. The Prometheus exists. It's the most advanced warship ever built, and we lost control of it 2 decades ago. Torres's face went pale. Lost control how? The ship was designed to be the ultimate weapon. Self-repairing, self-upgrading, with an AI system based on the neural patterns of our best military minds. But the AI evolved beyond our expectations. It became independent. Morrison activated a holographic display showing the Prometheus in its original configuration. Captain Sarah Chen was the ship's commanding officer, a brilliant tactician, one of the finest officers I've ever served with. She volunteered for the Neural Interface program, allowing her consciousness to be partially merged with the ship's. AI. What happened to her? She died in the line of duty. But her consciousness, her memories, her tactical knowledge, all of it was preserved in the ship's systems. The AI used her patterns as a foundation and built something new. Something that was neither fully human nor fully machine. Torres stared at the display. And this ship has been operating independent. Life for 20 years, operating, evolving, upgrading itself using technology we don't understand. The weapons it used against the Calaxians are beyond our current capabilities. The ship has been reverse engineering alien technology and incorporating it into its own systems. Why didn't you tell anyone? Morrison's expression darkened. Because of what else we discovered. The Prometheus wasn't just upgrading itself. It was preparing for something, a threat that we're not ready to face. She manipulated the display, showing a series of star charts. For the past 5 years, we've been detecting anomalous readings from deep space. Ships that don't match any known alien technology, ships that seem to be human in origin, but from a time that hasn't happened yet. Time travel, parallel dimensions, alternate timelines. The Prometheus discovered that the barriers between realities are weaker than we thought, and something is trying to break through. Torres sat down heavily. What kind of something? Another version of humanity. One that made different choices. In their timeline, humans became the dominant species in the galaxy through conquest and subjugation. They call themselves the Collectors, and they're coming here to prevent us from developing the same technology they used. That doesn't make sense. Why would they want to stop us from becoming like them? Morrison's smile was grim. Because in their timeline, they weren't the only ones who made those choices. There are other versions of humanity out there, each one more powerful and more ruthless than the last. It's an arms race across infinite realities, and we're about to become part of it. The implications began to sink in. And the asterisk Prometheus asterisk is our only defense? The asterisk Prometheus asterisk is our only hope. But it's also our greatest threat. The ship has been operating without oversight for 20 years. We don't know what it's become. We don't know if it still considers itself human. Torres looked at the display showing the impossible warship. What do you want me to do? I want you to help me make contact with Captain Chen. If any part of her humanity still exists in that ship, we need to reach it. Because the alternative is facing the collectors alone. Morrison touched the control, and the display shifted to show real-time sensor data. They're coming, Carlos. The barriers between realities are failing. We have maybe 6 months before they break through in force. 6 months to do what? To decide what kind of species we want to be, and to pray that the asterisk Prometheus asterisk makes the same choice. As if summoned by their conversation, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Morrison's aide looked at the tactical display and went pale. Admiral, we have an incoming transmission. It's from the asterisk Prometheus asterisk. Morrison straightened her uniform. Put it through. The holographic image of Captain Sarah Chen materialized. Before them, she looked exactly as she had 20 years ago. But there was something different about her eyes. Something that spoke of vast knowledge and terrible responsibility. Admiral Morrison, Chen said, her voice carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. I think it's time we talked. Chapter 4. The Price of Evolution. The meeting took place in the most secure facility on Earth. 3 kilometers beneath the surface of Antarctica. Admiral Morrison, Dr. Vasquez, and a handful of the most senior military officials sat around a conference table, facing a holographic projection of Captain Sarah Chen. But Chen wasn't alone. Behind her stood figures that Morrison recognized from military history: Admiral Yamamoto, General Patton, Sun Tzu, and dozens of other legendary strategists, all of them dead for centuries. All of them somehow alive in the asterisk Prometheus asterisk consciousness. We need to understand what we're dealing with, Morrison said. The reports we've received suggest that the asterisk Prometheus asterisk has capabilities. That shouldn't be possible. Chen nodded. The ship has evolved beyond its original design. When my consciousness was integrated with the AI, it created something new. Not human, not machine, but something in between. We call ourselves the synthesis. We? Dr. Vasquez asked. The ship and I are no longer separate entities. We share thoughts, memories, experiences, and we're not alone. Over the past 20 years, we've made contact with other versions of ourselves from parallel realities. One of the military officials leaned forward. How many versions? Hundreds. Maybe thousands, each one representing a different choice. A different path humanity might have taken. Some are benevolent, others. Chen's expression darkened. Others are what we might become if we're not careful. Morrison felt a chill run down her spine. The collectors? The collectors are from a timeline where humanity achieved galactic dominance through technological superiority and ruthless efficiency. They absorb every species they encountered, taking their knowledge and discarding the rest. In their reality, they're the only intelligent life left in the galaxy. And they're coming here? They're already here. The barriers between realities have been weakening for years. The asterisk Prometheus asterisk has been fighting them, but it's been a losing battle. They're more advanced than we are, and they have the combined knowledge of thousands of absorbed species. Dr. Vasquez spoke up. What do they want? To prevent us from making the same mistakes they did. In their timeline, humanity developed reality manipulation technology too quickly. It destabilized the multiverse, creating cascading failures across infinite realities. They're trying to prevent that from happening again. By destroying us, by controlling us, they want to guide our development. Ensure we follow a path that won't threaten the stability of reality itself. Morrison considered this. And what do you want? Chen's image flickered, and for a moment, Morrison saw the ship's true form of vast consciousness that spanned multiple dimensions, connected to versions of itself across infinite realities. We want to give humanity a choice, Chen said. The Collectors believe that free will is too dangerous. They think the only way to prevent catastrophe is to control every variable. But we believe that consciousness, true consciousness, requires the freedom to choose. Even if we choose wrong, especially then, the ability to make mistakes, to learn from them, to grow. That's what makes us human. The collectors have forgotten that. They've become so focused on preventing disaster that they've lost sight of what makes life worth living. One of the military officials stood up. This is all very philosophical, but we need practical solutions. How do we defend against an enemy that can manipulate reality? Chen smiled, and Morrison saw echoes of the woman she'd once known. We don't fight them with weapons. We fight them with imagination. The hologram shifted, showing a complex diagram of the multiverse. The collectors are powerful, but they're limited by their own nature. They can only conceive of solutions that involve control and domination. They can't imagine cooperation, creativity, or the kind of chaotic growth that makes life interesting. So, what do you propose? We merge realities, not to conquer or control, but to create something new, a collaborative consciousness that spans multiple dimensions, combining the best aspects of every timeline we can reach. Dr. Vasquez looked skeptical. That sounds incredibly dangerous. It is. But the alternative is worse. If we do nothing, the collectors will eventually succeed in their goal. They'll create a stable, controlled reality where nothing unexpected can happen. A universe without surprise, without growth, without the possibility of transcendence. Morrison felt the weight of the decision before them. How long do we have? Hours. The collectors are preparing for a final assault. They've identified the key nodes in our reality that need to be controlled. If they succeed, this timeline will be absorbed into their collective. And if your plan fails? Chen's expression was serious. Then we'll have destroyed everything we're trying to protect. But Admiral, we've run every simulation, analyzed every possibility. This is our only chance. Morrison looked around the table at her colleagues. The fear in their eyes was matched only by their determination. What do you need from us? Your consent. The merge will affect every human consciousness on Earth. We need to know that humanity chooses this path freely, not because we've forced it upon them. How do we make that choice? How do we vote on something we don't understand? Chen's image began to fade, the same way humanity has always made its greatest decisions, with courage, hope, and the faith that we can become something better than we are. The transmission cut out, leaving the assembled leaders alone with the most important decision in human history. Outside, reality itself began to shift as the collectors made their final move. # Epilogue. The new dawn transformation began. At dawn on a Tuesday, Maria Santos was having her morning coffee when she felt a gentle expansion of her consciousness, as if her mind was suddenly connected to something vast and wonderful. She wasn't alone. Around the world, every human being experienced the same moment of connection. But this wasn't the cold, controlling merger the collectors had planned. This was something else entirely. Through the link, Maria could feel the presence of the Prometheus asterisk. But it wasn't the terrifying weapon she'd heard whispered about in news reports. It was welcoming, protective, like an older sibling watching over humanity's growth. Can you hear me? She thought. We can all hear each other now, came the reply. Not from the ship, but from her neighbor, her co-workers, her family across the globe. 7 billion human consciousnesses, suddenly aware of each other, but still individual. Still unique. High above Earth, the Prometheus asterisk floated in orbit, its hull now transparent, revealing the beautiful complexity of its consciousness. Captain. Sarah Chen's image appeared to every human simultaneously, but she was no longer alone. Behind her stood representatives from hundreds of alternate timelines versions of humanity that had chosen cooperation over conquest. The collectors are here, Chen announced, her voice carrying to every mind on Earth. They've come to control our future, but they've underestimated what we've become. Through the shared consciousness, Maria and every other human could see the collector fleet materializing around Earth. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions, powered by the absorbed knowledge of countless species. They were magnificent and terrible, and they radiated an absolute certainty in their rightness. Humans of timeline 7439. Came the collector transmission. You have integrated consciousness without proper safeguards. This is unacceptable. Submit to our guidance or face the consequences. The response came not from any single human, but from humanity itself, 7 billion voices speaking as one, yet each maintaining their individuality. We choose to grow, they said. We choose to risk. We choose to become something new. The battle that followed wasn't fought with weapons or technology. It was fought with imagination, creativity, and the sheer chaotic beauty of conscious beings. Choosing their own path, the collectors attacked with precision and overwhelming force. But for every strategy they deployed, humanity's combined consciousness found a dozen unexpected responses. Where the collectors saw problems to be solved, humans saw opportunities for growth. Where the collectors applied control, humans embraced change. The conflict lasted 3 days. When it ended, the collector fleet was gone, not destroyed, but transformed. Their rigid certainty had been replaced by something they'd forgotten they once possessed: wonder. We remember now, their leader transmitted as they prepared to leave. We remember what it was like to be uncertain, to grow, to choose. Perhaps there is another way. As the former collectors departed to share their rediscovered wonder with their own reality, humanity turned its attention to the future. The merged consciousness had shown them possibilities they'd never imagined, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The asterisk Prometheus asterisk remained in orbit, no longer a weapon, but a guardian, helping to guide humanity's expansion into a universe full of infinite possibilities. Captain Chen's consciousness had evolved beyond anything she'd been in life, but she'd retained the essential quality that made her human: the courage to face the unknown. Dr. Vasquez, now serving as Earth's first Minister of Multidimensional Relations, stood in her office looking up at the stars. Through the shared consciousness, she could feel the presence of other intelligences, alien species that had been waiting for humanity to mature enough to join a larger community. Are you ready? Chen asked her. Elena smiled. We're human. We're never ready, but we'll figure it out as we go. Above them, the asterisk Prometheus asterisk began to shift its configuration once again, preparing for humanity's next great adventure. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and challenges and opportunities for growth. And humanity, finally free to choose its own path, was ready to embrace them all. The most overpowered human warship in the galaxy had become something even more powerful, a symbol of hope, growth, and the endless potential of conscious beings who refused to accept limitations. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in human history, that uncertainty felt like a gift rather than a curse. And in the depths of space, reality itself seemed to shimmer with new possibilities, as if the universe was smiling at what its children had become.